Guys, what is up? I'm George Mossey. It's the George Mossey Show. We're going to talk about The Last Resort, episode 2. We just watched 2 hours of The Last Resort. The Between the Sheets is on now. I'll be watching that later because I don't think we should be going live at midnight, right? So I'll be watching the Between the Sheets later. Gina and I are going to try to break down this episode and what we saw. Hello. Joda's here. Darwin's here. Amanda's here. Let me get Gina. Raquel is here. I'm going to get into this episode. I got some notes. Hopefully Gina got some notes so we can get into this. What's up?
Hello. Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday. It's been a crazy day, right? I feel like it's been crazy. Oh, Jala's here. So episode 2, it was 2 hours long. And so apparently next week is going to be an hour. So I think we're at the last, today was 2 hours, the premiere was 2 hours, and then the finale is 2 hours. So I think we're going to go back into normal 1 hour episodes. I think season 1, the first episode was 2 hours and then it went down to 1. How did you feel about this episode? Was it a lot? Was it hard to get through?
It was very I was like at like an hour and I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, it was hard for me. I kept checking my phone for the time. So I knew that it was too long. So there's some stuff I want to talk about. I think somebody already said, Joda said, I can't wait to hear your comments about Stacy's crying, right? So we're going to get into the rock, riding on the rocks and then carrying the rocks throughout the desert, I guess. So they're carrying the rocks through the desert. And I wrote down what everybody said, right? So Sophie said compassion. And I think Ari said affection. So we're gonna get into like what everybody's rock said, but I want to talk about Stacy's crying because Twitter has destroyed Stacy completely. They said that there wasn't 1 ounce of water coming out of her eyes. So how do you feel about her breaking down in the desert for Florian and saying that she wanted him to take this big massive weight off of her shoulders, and then afterwards she described their moment in the desert as a very, very beautiful, moving moment, and then Florian's face said something different.
It was like crocodile tears is all I took hold on. They're all fake. She's like pretty bad acting on her part, I would presume. So I think it was just even Florian's like, what the heck is this? He was even in shock. Like, what are you doing? So I think it was all just for show and for the camera because like 2 seconds later she was fine.
Well, I think Florian, when his facial expressions are real. So when he reacts to her, or Darcy too, when we watch their show, he's very real with his reactions. He always looks at the girls like they're crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think Florian is not like on the show pretending to do anything. He's just there because they made him be there, right? Like I feel like Stacy was like, you're doing the show, and he does the show. So I feel like his reactions are real, and the way that he reacted, he was just like, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? But in Stacy's eyes, it's like, our show got canceled. We're back on TV. I have to give them whatever I need to give them because, the twins are trying to get back on TV.
Exactly.
That's their goal. They've been trying to be TV stars for, oh my God, more than a decade. We all saw the preview and the pilot episode for their very first ever show, right? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Before 90 Day Fiance, before all that, I think it was Darcy's ex-husband was also a rapper. If y'all haven't heard the theme song to the first ever pilot that they filmed, her husband is the one rapping. The father.
Was it on MTV or VH1 or something?
Whoa.
I forgot what network it was.
It never got picked up. So they shopped it around to different networks. Like they filmed the pilot in another episode and they shopped it around and never actually got picked up, but it got leaked online.
Mm-hmm.
So oh my God, when Darcy first premiered on the show, we were posting it. It was like the intro, how it had like an intro and they showed it, and it was Darcy's husband rapping, and it was her and Stacy. And so this has been their goal from day one. So when I knew that Stacy was going to be on it, now we know at some point Darcy is going to be joining her on The Last Resort. They're going to use this as a way to get back on TV.
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie to you. They're good TV. I did enjoy their series. Like in the beginning, I did. Towards the end, it got to be a little ridiculous. But in the beginning, I did enjoy them on TV.
Exactly. I watched it during COVID. It was fine. Like there was nothing. But as you mentioned, towards the end, it was kind of repetitive. Like, let's go to Turkey to do surgeries. All eight, 10 of them, or what
Yeah,
have you. Let's fix us. No, you
it got
look good. 6 or 7 surgeries before that.
it got old pretty quick. Oh, Raquel said I thought Darcy's ex was a soccer player. I think he was a soccer player. I like okay. When I say he was a rapper, he rapped the theme song to their first ever reality show. Like he didn't actually have an album or
It
anything.
was freestyle.
Freestyle, right? Okay, yeah. So I used the wrong word. He wasn't a rapper. I think he was a soccer player. He wasn't actually a rapper, but he freestyled the theme song to their show that they thought was going to get picked up. I think they thought it was going to get picked up on VH1. VH1 passed, and then WeTV passed, and everyone passed on it. And then all of a sudden, she got accepted on 90 Day Fiance, and then things kind of blew up from them for there. It got pretty huge for a while, and now we're watching Stacey try to regain their TV show, right? Like I feel like that's what we're watching now. Okay, so I want to talk about Sophie and Rob because they had a little fallout in the desert because Rob brought up Calum. You remember Calum
Yep.
from the last season they were on? It's her best friend that apparently when she was 14 years old is what she keeps saying. I'm assuming probably not that young. They messed around, right? I feel like she's
Yeah.
just trying to make it seem
Yeah,
like
it
it was
was
longer.
her bang in Portugal. So
Well,
yes, I remember.
but my thing is, I don't think the last time they hooked up was when she was 14.
Oh
I think
no.
I think it started then, but I think that they were messing around for a while. And I think Rob had a good point. He was like, I'm not saying that I'm mad at you because you had an ex. I'm mad at you because you lied to me about it a year ago. Right? Like that's like you could have just said, this is a person I used to date. And he did go and asked her like in her face, like, look, did you ever date him? He did, because he's like, you want to bring him here, you want me to meet him. Is there anything else other than friendship? And she's like, no, we've never dated. There's nothing. I'm not attracted to him. And then he finds stuff in her phone saying that they hooked up and don't tell Rob. So it does go into the back of your mind, like, well, if she lied about that, she's probably
What
lying
else?
about other stuff
Yeah,
because
what else was she
lying,
lying about?
yeah, lying is like a spider web, right? Like one lie leads to two, leads to three, leads to four. And I'm gonna be real with all of y'all right now. I don't like Sophie. I'm not a fan. I can't stand her. I feel like she's you know what gaslighter is? I feel like she's the queen of gaslighting,
She's a
right?
manipulator. She's a manipulator. She's a user. We all knew from the jump why she came here. She was banging what's his face before she even left England. Like I don't care what anyone says about that.
I don't know. I feel like she makes it seem like Rob is a bad person, and I think it's projection. I think she's projecting on him because it's like she got here, they got married, and then a month later, hey, the diva speaks, hey, Wheels. A month later, she moves out. You know, and it's like if you're married and you really want to make it work, you wouldn't move out a month later. You would try to make it work. Not only did she moved out to an apartment with Kay, and Rob didn't even know the address
Exactly.
where she was located. Like if I can't locate you, say you go missing, right? And I call the police and the police are like, well, tell me where she lived. And I can't tell them. I have no idea, right? That's crazy because you would be my wife and I don't know where you are. And then I call the police because I'm worried. And then the police were like, well, where did you see her last? I was like, well, I haven't seen her in months.
Oh.
Right? How? That's insane to me. And then the fact that she tries to make it seem like that she's a victim in all this, and she's like, "Well, he's cheated on me," and I'm like, "But you lie to him." And I was like, I don't put degrees on lying and cheating. I think they're both bad, but I think lying can be just as bad as cheating,
Yeah.
right? Because lying is a manipulation of the truth. Cheating is betrayal of the trust. They're both pretty bad. Like, and I think in her boat, she's like, "Well, I'm not as bad as him,"
Well,
and
at
I
the
feel
end
like
of the day, two wrongs do not make a right.
well, right. This isn't.
So
It's not a competition of who did the worst thing, so who's better than the other. And I think that's where it goes with Sophie. She's like, well, yeah, I lied, but you cheated, so I win. right? And I feel like that's never how you handle a
I
situation.
just thought I was watching a playground fight when they both went their separate ways. Like, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you either. And just like ran away from each other
Well,
rather than talking about it.
it's funny because Rob said, "Oh well, when Sophie gets upset, she runs," and I was like, "You do too, though." I was like, "You
Exactly.
both did. You both separate. That's how y'all ended up living apart for 7 months. You get upset with each other and you run away from each other. That's not how you handle anything."
No.
And I feel like they're the couple that they knew that if they did the show, they would get paid, and that's why they're doing it. I don't feel like there's anything that
Like
they're
most
trying.
of them. Like most
Well,
of
you know, Florian is there because he was told there would be a check at the end.
like most of
You
them.
already know. There's no issues with Florian. Florian is not a cheater. Florian is not doing any of the stuff that they're saying that he's doing, but he was told there will be a large check at the end, and he showed up for the check, just like Biniam showed up for his social media. He was told that there would be social media at the end and a check, and he was like, I need both of those. He showed up. So I want to talk about them because Ari and Biniam had therapy in their room, and Benny used a word that was kind of interesting to me. He was like, she's blackmailing me. And I never thought of it that way, but she's withholding things that belong to him, like his social media, his son, you know, his name. She's bashing his name all over the TV because he won't do what she wants him to do. And then watching throughout the episode, she was kind of forcing him to be affectionate towards her,
Yeah.
which I think is crazy to me. Like, if someone, I don't know the best way to explain this, but you can't force. Isn't there a song that says, I can't make you love me if you don't? Isn't that a
Yeah.
song? And I feel like that's
I
kind of,
feel like it would be a song. It's most appropriate for a
yeah. And I
song.
was like, I feel like she's trying to make him love her when he doesn't. And she's like, well, if I can't make you do it by your own fruition, I'll steal like your social media, or I'll take Avi and I'll move to another state. And then I'll force you to love me because I have something that you have. And I
You
think that's the
want.
most, right. That's the most manipulative thing to do. Like, how can you, that is blackmail. I usually think of blackmail as like using money or
No.
photos or whatever. But I was like, this is definitely blackmail. I never thought of you could blackmail someone into loving you until I saw her try it.
Well, I wrote down like trust cannot be forced. It has to be built
Yeah.
if you lose that trust. So, and he only said that, oh, he wanted to work on this stuff so he can get his stuff back. Like, he basically said what she wanted to hear. Yeah, let's work on it. So he can get his social media back, like his passwords and everything back, and he can hit the high road and be like, bye, I ain't dealing with this crazy Karen anymore. Bye.
I'm not mad at him. Like,
No,
I'm not mad. Like, I feel like, but I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've never liked her since she was ever on the show. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I feel bad for her. I feel
no.
bad that there's a child
Yeah.
involved in this. That's what I do because Avi didn't ask to be put through a divorce or his parents not getting along. He didn't ask for any of that. But I do think that Ari is such a manipulative person, and I feel like Benny put up with her as much as he could, and I think he's at the end of the rope. And he's, because you can tell he doesn't want to fix it. He said tonight, he's like, oh yeah, I want to fix it. He
He
doesn't. I think that
doesn't. He just says
producers were
that
like,
to what she wants to hear so he can get his social media back. And
well,
like,
I think the producers were like, stop saying that you don't want to be here other than your social media. You have to say at least that you want to work it out because that's what we're selling. Because in the first episode, he was like, the only reason why I'm here is so I can get my social media. And I think the producers were like, you can't say that. You have to at least pretend that you want to try, because they were
but
like,
at least he
people,
was honest about
yeah.
it and was telling the
I think he
and
sat
she
there.
just uses everybody to her advantage. Like everyone, her parents, Binyam, like she manipulates these people into her little like corrupt little world and has them all wrapped around her finger. And then she gets mad when they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play this game anymore. Just give me my stuff so I can move on. And
Well,
you know,
you saw the video, right, of him on TikTok kissing that girl.
I didn't
He
see it, but I did see like
well,
screenshots of it and
they
whatnot. So I
showed, yeah.
saw it.
I think that he's moved on,
Yeah,
right? Because I remember like a year ago they were living apart. So, and I think
yeah.
this was filmed 267 days or 264 days ago, something that I saw online. So I think that they were definitely split up, and he was moving on. And oh, you know what? where is it? Raquel said, he said in the first scene, I'm doing this for my son. He did say he was doing it for his son, because remember, Ari said that she took Avi and left and had to leave her home and wouldn't let Benny see
For four
Avi, and
months.
for 4 months.
And then the therapist says, do you think that helped your relationship? Or the counselor, right? That didn't help anything. It helped you, but it didn't
Well,
help the relationship.
she's not looking to help anything. She's looking to, like someone said it, Raquel, control. She has to be in control of everything. And like you said, her parents have always been working to take care of her. She's never had to be responsible for anything. So she gets her way or she doesn't. And I feel like Benny moving on and trying to leave her isn't her getting her way. So I guess she's refusing to let him go, I guess is the best way to put it. Like, he's clearly done. He's checked out. He wants to be away from her. He wants to be divorced, but he knows that he has to tread lightly because she's a vindictive
She's
person
the
and he has
ticking
a son.
time bomb.
Yeah, and he has a son. Remember, Benny has 2 sons.
Yes.
Remember that? I don't know if everybody remembers, but he had another girl that he met who I think is from Illinois or Indiana. I
I
can't
know
remember.
she's somewhere from the
And,
States.
and she got pregnant and they broke up. He wasn't able to get a visa with her, and he does have zero, as far as I know, zero communication with his child. So the fear of him, I'm assuming, is the exact same repeat of what
Mm-hmm.
happened with his first child. Can you imagine having a child? Because Benny has always been very vocal. He wanted to have a son. He wanted a son, and now he has 2. And now it could be where he could lose both of them. Because trust me, if Ari doesn't get her way, she would take great pride in depriving her son of have a father. She's the type of woman that would totally do that and
She's
not feel bad at
vindictive
all. She
and
would
petty.
sleep like a baby at night, knowing that he can't see Avi. And that's what's scary for me. That's why I think that he's still entertaining her, because he knows that she's so evil. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like she would literally wake up one day and go to court and make it impossible for him to see his son. And I
And he
think
doesn't
that
have like the lawyer money. Her
he
parents have the lawyer money. He doesn't.
he don't have anything because he
It's,
doesn't even have social media, and that's how he works.
exactly.
Because he's a dancer and a stunt performer, and he books everything. She admitted tonight that she's been his manager since he's been here, so all of his bookings have stopped. She's not booking work for him because she wants him to suffer. So think about that. He could be making money which could go into the household to help take care of their son. She would rather him suffer and not help her, because that makes her feel better knowing that he's being punished for what he did. And it's like, you can't punish someone for not loving you. You know,
Exactly.
like
And he's not even like they're only showing, well, not to call him a deadbeat. He's definitely like, I don't know if he is or not, or if he earned money, if he was able to earn money to support Abby at the same time. But he doesn't seem like that type of father to be a deadbeat, obviously.
well, there's
But
two different definitions of a deadbeat for me. There's a deadbeat in a way where you don't financially take care of your kid. That's a
Lauren,
dead.
for instance, Lauren.
Yes. And then there is, because I grew up with a dad who paid child support the whole time. We just never saw him.
Hmm.
He's still a deadbeat to me
Exactly.
because we never saw him, but he wrote a check every single month until we turned 18 or 19 years old. So
There's,
there's 2 separate types of deadbeats.
yes,
I think Benny would always be in his son's life as long as he's allowed.
hmm,
Financially speaking, I don't know if he can take care of him because Ari is kind of derailing his
his
ways of
funds.
making money.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I feel like, and if she, in my opinion, she would stop him from getting work and then call him a deadbeat because that's how vindictive she is. She would be the reason why he has no money, but then she would always say, he's not paying me child support and he's not taking care of his kids. I feel like she's that type. I don't know. I've never been a fan. I've never liked her, and I want the counselors to really hone in on why she's in this situation, because they were like, oh well, he can't talk about social media, and I was like, well, he should be able to talk about whatever issues that they have, right? I didn't like that the counselors were like, oh, Benny, don't bring up your social media. I was like, no, if there's any active issue that they're going through, he should be allowed to bring it up.
Exactly.
It bothered me when they told him what he could and couldn't say, because she had no problem calling him a liar and a cheater and all these names all over TV. That was fine because she did it. But when he tried to tell her issues, she got mad. Hey, Tina. What Benny has bent over backwards since the day he found out she was pregnant to stay in his son's life. He has, and she's always held it over his head to treat him bad.
But
No,
I don't
you're
know
right.
why
You're
she's
right.
demanding for him to do stuff that he doesn't want to do. Like your Twitter tweet said, like, read the room. Like,
Well, I
it's
think what
awkward.
bothered
He
me,
doesn't want to do this with you.
well, what bothered me was she was like, well, you should kiss me, hug me, let me sit on your lap. And I was like, see, that's what's a nice way to put this? Like, you know how when you go to a bar
She's
and you see someone you like,
acting thirsty.
thank you. That's what it is. That's what it is. Like, if you go up to somebody and you say, can I buy you a drink? And they're like, no, thank you. He's saying no, thank you. And she's like persistently sitting next to him, buying the drink, forcing her way. That's what you would call a creeper, right? That's a creeper. I feel like if he wanted to be affectionate towards you, he would. You can't force that, just like you can't force someone to love you. But I feel like she's spending so much time trying to force love. And it shows
Exactly.
that she's a spoiled brat because she's so used to getting what she wants. She thinks that even Benny is something that she can get, even if he doesn't want to be with her.
Exactly. You nailed
Yeah,
it.
Tina, clingy. That's the word too. Clingy and thirsty. And it's like if somebody wants to be around you or wants to be affectionate towards you, they will. Right? We saw Vanja get super affectionate with Voshka last night. They knew each other for 14 seconds, but they wanted to do that, so it was natural, right? You don't have to force it. It is what it is. Also, I want to talk about Brandon and Julia because I tweeted out, you probably saw it. I tweeted out, Brandon and Julia are the most boring, unentertaining couple so far for me. And somebody replied back and they said that's because they're the only real couple. Do you think that Brandon and Julia are there and they're a real couple? They don't really have any issues? Because Brandon said something tonight which was funny. He was like, it doesn't show on the outside, but we have a lot of issues. And I was like, I think you're lying. Do you think they have issues for real?
Well, I think every marriage has issues. Like, it could be big issues or it can be like little issues. In this case, she wants to bring her divorced parents. I don't know how that would work. Would he be like, would they be living in two different homes or what's going on with that? Because that's what she wrote on the rock. She wrote parents and he wrote baby,
Baby.
right? But I think she's realizing, like, I'm in America and I'm this age and I'm going to have fun. Like, no, we're not settling down with kids
Well,
because that would just have to make her be a mom and take it easy and not go out dancing on bar
oh,
tables.
I see what you're saying. So when she goes out and dances on the bar and has her ass hanging out, he thinks if I knock her up and we have a baby, she's gonna stop acting that way and be a mom. See,
Yes.
that's an ignorant way of thinking though, because I've met moms who still dance on bars. Okay, like that's an ignorant way of thinking. If a woman wants to express herself however she wants to express herself, she will, whether she has one kid or four, right?
Oh no, of course. I'm just thinking in Brandon's mentality, right? Like, by all means, do you, boo. But I'm just thinking what he's thinking. Will a baby help this situation, right? From
Babies are a
but it's
blessing, but
not.
they
That's not the solution to your
yeah,
problems.
babies are a blessing, but they're never, like you said, they're never the solution. They're usually something that makes the situation
Mm-hmm.
worse. Babies,
Mm,
I think what people always say is you know the strength of your relationship and the foundation of your relationship if you can have a baby and stay together,
exactly.
right? And I feel like, and also I want to bring up when she wrote parents on the rock, was I the only one that thought that she was talking about Betty?
No, she said it was her
Yeah, I
parents.
was so confused.
I saw your tweet. I'm like, what is he talking about? It was her parents, and her parents don't get along, and they're divorced.
I don't even know how that works because in order for you to sponsor someone, I know that there's something like a family, like when you get over here on a visa, you can petition to have like your mom, dad, brother, sister. But I don't know if it's the same requirements for a spousal or a K1 because you have to make over a certain amount of money and you still have to they have to be sponsored by someone else. So if they get over here and they can't take care of themselves, you have to take care of them. The government isn't interested, in taking care of them for you. You still have to figure out how they're going to take care of each other.
Exactly, but my whole mind frame was so Brandon's gonna have two houses, like one for the dad and one like either the dad lives with them and the mom lives somewhere else, or was his mom gonna live with them and like is her mom gonna live with them and the dad lives somewhere else? If her parents don't get along, what? Like I was just like, wait, what's gonna happen now? Like, why
I
would your parents come here? You don't even have a baby. They can't help you take care of it. So that would be a good way to have that visa, you know?
I don't know. I think that it's a storyline. I mean, it could be that she does want her parents to come here. It would be easier if they were together because one apartment, one place. Because if two people hate each other and you try to move them into your house, you're going to have a lot of issues, right? You're going to have so many issues all the time. They think they have issues now. Try moving two people into a small space that hate each other and
They're
would
gonna
rather never see each
have
other.
more issues than what you started with.
Yeah, I think so. And the baby thing, I think that they're still really young. I'm like against having babies until like you're super super ready. And I know people tell me all the time they're like, "Oh, you never know, you're never ready. No matter how old you are, you're still not ready," which is true. But I think that if you're still ready to travel and you're still living, a carefree life, if you get home after midnight more than 4 times a month, you're probably not in the space yet to have a baby, right? Like if you're still going out to a bar or staying out late or having a girls' night or doing anything that would involve you having to hire a babysitter, you're probably not ready yet, right? Like I feel like
Exactly.
you should be super over the nightlife. Cause like I don't know, I like the nightlife still. I shouldn't, but I do. So it's like thinking about that, and it's like, ooh, who's gonna take care of the baby if I had one? Like who's gonna do that? And I think you should just be ready to be selfless and over it, and ready to dedicate your life to somebody else. And I think Brandon and Julia aren't there. Julia is only trying to dedicate herself to the pole. It's what I've seen, right?
That's
Like
what
that's my.
I've seen, and make that money, like make it
I'm
rain.
not mad at her. I'm not mad. I think if that's what she wants to do, I think it's hard to want to dedicate your life to dancing on a pole when you're married. That's kind of difficult. A lot of times, some husbands will meet their wives in the strip club, but as soon as they put the ring on the finger, she got to stop stripping,
Hmm.
right? That's usually how it goes. So I don't know why she thinks that, she can get away with dancing on bars and flirting and acting that way with her husband present,
Because
right?
she
Because
probably
every time.
makes more money than him.
That's true. That's true. I
That's why she said, I can do the visa myself. I already looked into it.
well, that okay, that's another thing. So what if she was to go behind his back and bring her parents over and do that, and they didn't agree with it? Like, isn't that a betrayal? Because shouldn't a big decision like that be something y'all decide together? But since it's her money, is his opinion relevant because it's not his money?
Exactly. It's kind of like the same thing with Yara. She made her own money, and everyone thought she was a gold
Oh,
digger too.
yeah. Yara wanted to buy a house in the Ukraine,
No,
right?
in
And,
Czech, wasn't it Czech
oh,
Republic?
Czech Republic, and Jovi said, "No, you can't buy a house here because then I'll never see you." And she was like, "Your opinion is irrelevant because it's my money," and she's
My money,
right.
my rules.
Well, some people will argue it's never your money when you're married. How do you feel about money when you get married? Do you feel like your money is still your money?
Well, my parents always say it's our money. I'm like their money, and I'm like, but what's mine is mine. What's yours is also mine. So, but it's a joke, right? Obviously, right? So, what's mine is mine, but what yours is also mine. So,
So,
I don't know. It's just like I know a lot of couples have separate bank accounts.
mm,
Like one pays this, one pays that. So if it works for them, it works for them. If it does, if it's more like you've been married for 50, 30 or 40 years, why isn't the bank account together? Obviously, right? It's just a different time, like age, like time frame, basically, in the age of maybe my parents divorce wasn't common or separation wasn't common, so you would have joint bank accounts, no prenups, nothing like that, right? In this day and age, it's more common, so you will actually see separate bank accounts, and basically each person pays, one might pay the rent, the other one will pay for food and utilities or whatnot, so it's a
yeah.
common, it's, yeah,
So
divided into like two,
if
basically.
you're married and your husband comes home with like a $60,000 car and y'all never had a conversation about it, are you mad? Are
Mm,
are you gonna be like, what is this? Like, because technically you're married, so technically his debt is your debt. So he comes home with a car that he didn't discuss with you. Like, how? What would you do?
well, where'd you get the money from? We've got bills to pay. Where did
Right.
this come from?
Because
And I hope you say you
technically,
want it because, or else it's going back to the car lot.
well, because I was
And
gonna
I
say
know it's going to be
technically
face
it's
value, but I don't give a dang. We didn't
because
have this conversation. We need to be on both similar grounds. You want a 60,000 car? Okay, well, when your midlife crisis comes, we can discuss that then, not now. We have something else to
yeah.
build. And considering the housing market, rental properties, it's so expensive here that I can do it. 60,000 does not go a long way here.
So I want to talk about cars again because Jasmine is making a demand. Also, we're going to talk about Matt. Matt was on the call with Jasmine. You know who Matt
Matt,
is, right? We'd already
is it Matt the
Matt,
mechanic?
the mechanic from the gym. So we're gonna get into that because we're gonna go back to, oh my God, this was like in January, February when we figured out who Matt was. We're finally seeing it. So that shows how far off the show was. But Jasmine is mad because, okay, so I want to talk about this situation where she feels that she gave up her life to come here with Gino, who, again, let's go back. She met on a sugar daddy, sugar baby website.
Have that written down.
Yes, sugar daddy, sugar baby website. So Jasmine was never really looking for love. I'm just gonna put it out there. She was never really looking for love. She was looking for a man who had a whole bunch of money who could spoil her. And if she grew to love him, that was nice, but that wasn't really part of the deal,
Hmm.
right? So she said tonight that Gino tricked her. He promised a life that, he was gonna take care of her, give her everything she needs, spoil her, and then when she got here, he hasn't really done anything for her. So I wanted to ask you, is it Gino's responsibility to buy her a car, help her get her license, and help her be independent so she can, because she's never once said she wanted to get a job. That never came out of her mouth. She was
No.
just irritated that Gino is not giving him or giving her more of his money. So I wanted to ask you, is it Gino's responsibility to spoil her because he told her he would? Because remember when Anfisa got here, George brought Anfisa here, and
Hmm.
he said he was going to give her like $3,000 or $4,000 a week an allowance, and he tricked her. And then when she got here, he was like, I don't even make that much in a month. And she realized she was catfish, but like financially catfish.
Hmm.
So do you feel Jasmine was financially catfish to get over here?
Oh no, she knew what she got into. So this is just like first the show, then it's a sugar baby website. So obviously the U.S. funds probably go more that in Panama, their dollar there,
Well, yeah.
so she can live in the lap of luxury. Call them a scammer on tonight's episode, which basically is being a hypocrite because she's contradicting her own self.
Well,
Like,
she's a
like
sugar
who paid for
baby.
the butt? Who paid for the boobs? Who paid for the apartment? Like in Panama, who paid for everything? And I don't even know what Gino's working situation is like right now because previous their previous season, he had quit his job because of her coming to
Right.
the United States. So I don't know. As for the driver's license situation, didn't she have her driver's license in Panama? Isn't it? Can't you transfer it? Like, can't you do some
I
sort of
guess you
transfer over?
can. Yeah, I guess you can. I guess her driver's license, she would have to retake everything. Like in certain states, if you move from one state to another, I don't know if you knew this in America, sometimes they make you retake the driving, not the written. They make you retake the driving, even though you had a license already. And
No,
I
because
think,
here it's transferable. So let's say I have a license in Europe, but they're crazy drivers there. So and I want to transfer it over, I can transfer it over. I'd probably have to redo a test and like signs because it's different,
right.
but I
I,
think
I
that's
think
it.
I think she had to retake something.
Yeah.
So she's never done that. But again, some people on Twitter were saying, well, what's stopping her from doing that? She doesn't need Gino to do that, right?
But
Like,
you need money to pay for it. For
well,
like lessons, if it's required. I don't know what the law is in
well,
Michigan with into regards to that.
she has her green card, right? So if she wanted to work, she could. She doesn't want to. So a lot of people are saying, you're expecting him to do everything for you when you could. You know what? There's a saying where you can't help someone if they don't want to help themselves.
Hmm.
So it's like if she really wanted to be independent, or not independent, but not depend on Gino for so much. She could take care of herself. She could get a job. She goes to the gym all the time. There's the girls and guys that work behind the counter at the gym, and they just scan your little card, and then they wipe stuff down. She could easily do that, right? I don't know any gym that wouldn't hire her, right? If she really wanted to have her own money, but I don't know if she wants to have her own money. Oh, what's up, James? James is the psychologist, one of the doctors from The Last Resort. We're talking about your show, sir. We're talking about your show right now. So, and actually, I wanted to say to James, I really liked the Rock carrying the weight of the Rock and the weight of the issue thing that y'all did tonight. I thought that was really symbolic. It's really interesting, and it's funny how some people pick the biggest rock and they were unable to carry it. And it's very symbolic because that's kind of how Rob and Sophie and Biniam and Ari are in real life. It's literally like trying to drag a truck on a chain behind you. That's kind of how it was. So it was really interesting. Yeah. So Jasmine, yes, the Diva Speaks. Jasmine was a teacher in Panama. She worked a 9 to 5, completely normal
She
9 to
was
5.
a teacher, like
Well, I
yeah.
thought that we thought that it was legit. She was legitimately a teacher. I mean, I never saw a picture of her in a classroom with any chalk in her hand, but I thought that it was pretty legit. She made it seem like it was. And then right when she met Gino and Gino started giving her this lifestyle, because this is what I was going to ask you. He was providing her with a lifestyle before she got here. Do you think Gino is required to continue and match the lifestyle? You know how, okay, so here's a better way of asking. When you get divorced, say you're married and the person you were married made more money than you. So when you leave that guy, the judge is going to say he needs to continue that lifestyle. So he would have to give you spousal support in order, especially if you have kids, in order for the lifestyle to not change. Is Gino responsible to give her the same lifestyle that he was giving her in Panama now that she's here? Or do you think that he catfished her? Because a lot of people say that he had her in a $3,000 a month apartment. He did buy her a new ass and new boobs, and he was new hair, $1,500 hair extensions. Remember? Now
Mm-hmm.
he's not giving her anything. And a lot of people say, even though they don't care for Jasmine, it is unfair that he doesn't match that lifestyle.
It's hard because one thing is the cost of living is probably a lot cheaper in Panama than it is in Michigan.
Yes.
So I can't do like apples to oranges type of thing like that, but like that, like supporting that lifestyle there is probably more economical for him. And we already know as Jasmine puts it, he's cheap, right? So basically, obviously, she had the lap of luxury there because of the dollar value. Here, I do think he should uphold some sort of standards, maybe not buy her a Beamer, but like have her do it herself. Like, go get your license, go get your learners, go get this, go get that, and then we'll talk about having like an older car. So if you hit it, no big deal,
Okay.
right? But I think it's more of like it's a breaking point. Like they're not going to be like he sees it deteriorating, so that's why he's not putting that effort in. That's not why he's not spending that much, because the red flags have been there from the beginning. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I met her. This is what she wants. This is not going to happen in the States. Maybe she'll change. Like, we're always looking to change somebody that we can't necessarily change. And we've adapted them into those habits, and it's habit forming. So this is why she's so used to it right now. What she was given before to what her life is now, it's a total shocker for her, basically.
I agree. I think that it's a culture shock going from having everything you need provided for you to now having to beg him for, I think she said on the last tell all, she needed tampons. She had to beg him to go buy tampons. And
Mm-hmm.
that's humiliating, right? Like, why can't a woman buy her products that are privately? Why does she need him to be there to swipe the credit card? That's degrading, right? I feel like it's degrading. It's making her feel like, he's in charge, and he's in charge of what she can and can't have. Because let's be real, tampons are not a luxury. That's something that
It's
she has to have.
a
That's like
necessity.
clothing. Right. So I do feel like he made it seem like she was coming into a lifestyle. Again, the same thing happened with George and Effie. So George was like, oh, I'm rich. I have all this money. You're going to love it here. I'm going to get you. Remember, he promised her a Chanel bag. You know how much those
Mm-hmm.
cost? Like 5 to 10 grand. He promised her all this stuff. And then when she actually got here, he was like, I won't make anywhere near enough money to buy you a Chanel bag. That, I think, catfishing the women that way is wrong. And I get it. It's like women shouldn't come into the relationship for what a guy can give them, but a guy shouldn't reel a woman in promising stuff either, right?
But
Like
she
they're both in the wrong.
knew Gino was cheap from the beginning, so like it was all about the green card for her. If you think about it,
But
like the timeline.
but why? She doesn't want to work. That's why I think it's really weird because the green card is
Because she'll
worthless
just
if
find once she's here, she'll just find a sugar daddy here. That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
you're right. So speaking of sugar daddy, oh, real quick. So Raquel, she supposedly lost her job because Gino passed her news to his ex. Right. So the news went to Gino's ex, and then supposedly Gino's ex sent the news to the school. That's the story.
Mm.
So I don't know how the ex knew what school she worked at,
Yeah,
but supposedly they sent it to like the administration of where she worked, and
yeah.
obviously
Oh,
when they
okay.
received those photos, she was let go.
Yeah,
Obviously. So
yeah.
that was the story with that. Hold on, there was one more thing in here. Oh, the someone said get her a used Toyota. So I was gonna say this. What I did when I was 18, I wanted to get a car. I didn't have any money, but I had a job. So my mom was like, I'm gonna take you to the car lot. We're gonna get you a brand new car. I'm gonna co-sign, and then you're gonna pay for it. So I was like, what if Gina was to make her get a job, take her to get whatever car she wants, but then make her pay for it?
She
Wouldn't
would
that?
laugh in his face. She'd be like, "Are you kidding me?
So
Me
you,
get a job?
so
No,
you
no,
think she
honey."
wouldn't even accept, a deal of you? I'll help you if you help yourself. She wouldn't accept it. You think it's always gonna be you have to do this for me because I'm prettier than you?
Yes.
I think you're right, though. I actually do. I think you're right. I feel like Jasmine thinks that she deserves everything. She deserves the world because she's pretty, and she's out of Gino's league, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, and she knows that, and she exercises the fact that she knows that if she was to leave him, he would never get anyone that looks like her, which is
It's
probably a good thing.
it's probably
Honestly,
true. It's probably true.
I think it's a good thing.
It's likely true. Not let's just say probably. There's a cost to everything. So I've seen what his ex looks like again. Like she was beautiful and like Lindsay. I think that's her name, Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay Ryder. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I talked to Lindsay, and she told me that it was a similar setup.
yeah,
She
exactly.
said
So
she
yeah.
he would pay to take her out on dates. He would buy her stuff, and it's never been like legit relationships with Gino. And I think that's what they really need to be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy. Gino, why do you feel like in order for you to be with someone, you have to be buying them stuff or buying their love, buying their affection? Why can't you find someone to love you for who you are? That's why we're in this situation in the first place. Jasmine doesn't love Gino. Jasmine loves the lifestyle he promised her.
Yeah, the money that was coming in and now it's not coming in. So obviously, like the song goes, what's love got to do with it? So
Nothing. Nothing. Jasmine is looking for a car. And like you said, we were talking about an old Toyota. If he, like you said, if he brought home an old Toyota and was like, because she said on the show, she's like, it can be any car. It could be a beat up car. And I was like,
no, we know Jasmine
don't,
ain't gonna be
don't lie.
driving no freaking old Honda or old
Don't lie.
Civic. No.
Jasmine, don't lie. We know that she would drive a Porsche, a Mercedes, a BMW, a Lamborghini. There's certain cars that she would drive. It's just, this is who she is. Oh, I want to talk about Natalie and Josh real quick because we're finding out after almost 3 years. Well, we knew, but Josh made a promise tonight that if they get through therapy, he would take Jasmine to his house. BS, right? Complete BS.
She's like a deer in headlights. Like it's just like you have never been to his house. She honestly needs glasses. Like I don't know what drunk goggles she's wearing. Like she
So
honestly needs glasses.
someone said on Twitter, they were like, in America, we call what you are, Jasmine, a side piece. What we call here. So he's obviously he has somebody at home, right? I don't know if it's a wife, a girlfriend, whatever. If you've never been to a man's house, someone is there that he doesn't want you to see. Normally it's a wife. Sometimes it's a fiance or girlfriend. He says it's his children. I don't buy it because she could come over while they're at school, right? Like I don't buy that. I think that he's hiding her from someone, right? And I'm assuming it's not a wife because somebody would have figured that out by now because that's public record. So I'm assuming it's not a wife, but I'm assuming there's someone in that house that
And
he
it's
does.
not a maid and it's not a housekeeper unless
No, and I do believe that the person knows that he's doing this because it's on TV. The
yeah.
person isn't an idiot. But wait, Raquel says he's worried she'll stalk him. He would have to move. Oh, so you
Oh,
think that she
he ain't
would
wrong.
so she would show up
Yeah.
unannounced and just knock and let herself in or climb through. I feel like Natalie would climb through the window. Do you feel like that? I feel like if he wouldn't open the door, I feel like she would climb through an open window.
We call her Natalie for a reason because she's nuts.
She is definitely nuts. And the fact that it's been 3 years, like, can you imagine? I don't know what the dating pool is like now, but like if you've been dating someone for 3 or 4 months and you've never been to their house, you would start asking questions right away, right? Like you would be like, why do I have to meet you at a hotel? Why do I have to meet you at a restaurant? Why do we have to go to the movies? Why can't I go to your house? Like, do you have people tied up in the basement? Like, what's going on that I can't go to your house? Like, people are going to start asking questions. So the fact that she's not asking questions, and I'm not saying Josh has people, obviously, he doesn't have people tied up in the basement, but it's very clear that she's a side piece. She's a person, because she was like, oh, our relationship is 70% sex and then 30% fighting. And I was like, so he shows up, y'all have sex, and then he leaves.
Your
I was like,
booty call.
or
She's a booty call.
remember what Trish said? She's a hooker, right? Wouldn't that make her a hooker? Because he bought her a car,
he buys
remember?
her everything.
He pays her rent. He actually got the apartment for her because no one would rent for her.
Oh my God, Jasmine would love this situation.
Josh is an actual sugar daddy. And I don't think I realized it until tonight when she was talking, because he was like, oh, I've been very generous with you. I got you a car. I got you an apartment.
I buy you groceries, buy you medicine, buy you everything.
She has a sugar daddy, and then she has the audacity to complain. Can you imagine? She's
like, the light bulb just went out of my head. I'm like, this would be Jasmine's ideal situation right now.
Jasmine would die to have this situation. She doesn't have to see Josh because Josh wouldn't even live in the same state. He just pays for everything, make sure she has the money that she needs, and then every now and then he'll pop up to have that.
You would hook up.
Right? I feel like this is exactly what Jasmine was looking for on the app. And she got the Temu version. She got Gino, right? So she's like, well, damn, I wanted like the Josh, and she got Temu version Gino, and now she's miserable. She can't even get a car. I was on Twitter the other day, and there was an OnlyFans model who was talking about, there was a video of a car that her sugar daddy bought her. They were at like the car dealership. It was a really older guy. And he got her like a Porsche or something really, really expensive. And it's like this younger 20-something-year-old OnlyFans girl. And he got her in a car, gave her the keys, and he went to kiss her, and she turned her face so he couldn't kiss her on the lips. And I was like, so he just bought you this car, and he's not even allowed to kiss you.
Wow.
Like, this is wild. So the fact that the fact that Natalie has everything that any woman would ever want, right? A sugar daddy, you get a car, you get a house, and she lives on the water, on the beach. Do you remember the house that Josh got her, the apartment? It was on the beach in California, which would cost who knows what. And she's not paying for anything. And then she has the audacity to go on TV and complain that her sugar daddy doesn't spend enough time with her. And I was like, Jasmine would take some notes. I was like, you literally have hit the jackpot. And you don't even know. You could actually be dating someone else. You could have multiple sugar daddies, right? Josh wouldn't even get mad because he's never around.
No.
He wouldn't even know. You could have him and another one, and you could get 2 cars. You could have another house. And like Natalie really needs help with navigating this.
Jasmine must be thinking like, let's switch. Like, you can have Gino or Natalie, and I'll go with Josh for a little bit. Let's see what happens with that.
At this point, Jasmine would just share them. Like, at this point, Jasmine would be like, you can keep them. I'll just...
As long as I'm getting shit out of it.
She'd be like, I'll have them on Fridays. She's like, if we could just share, that'd be totally fine. Oh, Mark, yeah, I see that Scott is trying to fight Pedro. From what I heard, Pedro has not responded to that. But I did hear that Kyle Gordy is going to fight Lauren Allen. So there's that. If anybody wants to go, I think it's in Las Vegas. And if no one's buying my plane ticket, I'm not going. I mean, I highly doubt it unless I'm already in Vegas, which I don't think I will be. So 90 Day Swingers, that could be a show. I totally watch that. Jal, that could be a show. All of the girls who are cheering Josh could be on the 90 Day Swingers show. Also, Angela wants to fight Jasmine. I would go to that.
I'd go.
Where would it be?
For that.
I would go to that.
I would actually pay money to go to that. I'm like her birthday in Canada. I would actually pay money for that.
If it's in Atlanta, I would go. That's not even that far from me. I would totally go. I don't think that Jasmine can fight. It looked like she was having a really hard time walking in heels today. Did you see the scene?
Was basically would be like.
Did you see the scene of Jasmine when she was calling Matt and she was walking outside the resort for breakfast and it looked like she was gonna fall over? Didn't look like she could walk properly, so I don't think that she could beat anyone up. But I would still go, and it would be professional, so no one's actually gonna get hurt. So I feel like it would be fun to watch that.
It would. It really would. Did you see the preview for next week?
Yeah. Yeah, so next week, we're going to see the scene where Natalie snaps on, I think it was Julia. And then I think the drink flew into...
I thought it was Sophie because then...
Sophie?
Because didn't they find out about Josh messaging Sophie with the Las Vegas?
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So she threw the drink at Sophie. And then the drink hit Jasmine.
Backfired.
Yeah, and Jasmine was like, okay, I'm going to wring your neck. And then it was going crazy. And see, I'm not mad about it. Like I said, I don't condone violence, but this has already been filmed and I can't do anything about it.
No,
so I'm gonna watch it. Right. There's nothing I can do about it. It's out of my hands. But I'm gonna watch it. I'll have popcorn and I'll have a nice drink in my hand to watch these two go at it.
Watch the previews, make a big deal out of it, and then it's just like nothing.
Well, it didn't look like Natalie wouldn't react. Did you see that? Mm-hmm. Like no matter what happened, she just stood there. And that kind of reminds me, people say that about Angela. They're like, oh, Angela, she's so mean and she's so loud, but she doesn't actually want to fight. And I was like, that might actually be true. They call it all bark and no bite. I think that Angela's that type too. She'll get all in your face, but she's not actually going to hit you. Some people disagree. Some people told me they think that she would, but I don't think that she would. I don't think Angela goes around smacking people. I don't believe that. But fingers crossed, somebody might smack somebody next week. So,
I doubt
again, we don't condone it. But if it happens, it happens, right? It's nothing.
Here for it if it happens. But
I'm not a producer. No, Angela's waiting for you to touch her. Yes, Angela, I feel like if you hit her, she will hit you. But I feel like she will never hit you first, right? I feel like that's definitely... Wait, I want to see Jasmine and Shekinah fight, plastic versus plastic. No one would feel anything. I don't feel like there's any, like, nerve endings left in the body, right? Like, would anyone feel anything?
I don't think because there's too much air in there too, or maybe Tiger Club can join in too.
Oh, Tiger would be. So yeah, Tiger Puff. We could do a tag team. Angela and Shekinah and Tiger Puff and Jasmine. And it'll be like,
my God.
That I will get on an airplane for. If y'all want to book that, we'll go. I'll be there front row. What do they call it? Ringside. I'll be ringside. I want to be there. I want somebody's spit to fly on me. I want to be so close to the action. I want to be right there.
And we would have to find somebody to round one, like with the little
Oh, Benny can do that.
Oh,
Benny,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Benny, he's an MMA fighter, right? So he'll hold the little because we're not going to be sexist. So if it's women fighting, you should be exploiting a man. He should have to walk around, right? He should have to walk around with the numbers, right? We are equal opportunity here. We're not going to exploit anybody. It's an equal opportunity exploitation here. So we're not going to sexualize anybody. Nope. So if we're the women fighting,
we're not going to discriminate.
No. I mean, if that's really what's going on, I'm down for it. So, I haven't watched Between the Sheets yet. I'm going to watch it later tonight. So I'll report back. And
like I said last week, I watched the first 17 minutes of it, and then you came on, and then I'm like, okay, bye.
It was a lot. Also, next week the show is going down to an hour, which is going to make it a little more manageable for everybody, right? It's going back down to an hour. So I think we'll be at an hour a week until the finale, which is the recommitment ceremonies. So from here on out, it's going to be a lot easier until January. No, February. I think the recommitment's in February, right? It's in February. So we'll be an hour episode, then an hour between the sheets. So we'll go back to normal. So the premiere and then the second episode, then the last episode. It's 2 hours. So last season, they only did 1 2 hour at the beginning, 1 2 hour at the end.
That makes sense.
But I think we talked about everything I wanted to talk about other than, no, I think we covered it all because I wanted to talk about Ari. And
we did. We talked about Ari, we talked about Darcy, Tino and Jasmine, Natalie, Brandon, and Rob and Sophie.
I think we're good. Yeah, so next week, I'm loving Vanya's new story. Yeah, so the rumor is that she's talking to one of Boja's friends. So
what did I say yesterday?
Yeah, that's the rumor. So we're gonna see if that's true. And if so, if they're filming it, me and Shabuti will try to do some research and get some info on that. Because that's the rumor. The rumor is she's talking to red flannel shirt guy. I can't remember his name. But yeah, one of Boja's friends. So if that's true, that's the best way to get
that. That's the best revenge.
I mean, other than banging his dad, that's pretty much the best way to get back, right?
She's not Coco.
No,
she's not Coco.
That would not be off the table for Coco at all. She would actually have done it twice already. But yeah, we're gonna look and try to get information on that if that's true or not. Vanja's tight-lipped. I've already tried. She won't say anything. But
it's true. Because it's true.
When people don't deny things and they say keep watching, it's usually true.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you ask them a question, they're like, oh, you gotta watch and see. You just asked them a question that's true.
Exactly.
So that's where
They just
all right. We're gonna wrap. We're gonna come back Sunday for Before the 90 Days, episode 16. We still don't know when the finale or the tell-all is. They haven't announced it yet. I'm assuming we're close to the home stretch. I think The Other Way had 20 episodes, so we're close to that. So,
well, maybe it will end the day that I fly out, which will be great.
Oh yeah, right before Christmas. That would be a good time to end, right? So we can have the holidays before we start a new show.
On the 22nd.
Right. I would appreciate that. But TLC doesn't care. They give us new shows whenever it is, even if it's on Thanksgiving Day. They don't care. They just give us new stuff.
They only care when it's football. That's it.
Yeah, you're right. For the Super Bowl we get nothing.
Yeah.
But on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter, we get a new episode. They just don't care. So
yeah,
I wish that we could at least get a break. But everybody, follow my co-host, Gina. I'm going to tag her in this video. Make sure to follow me on all social media platforms at George Mossey, georgemossey.com. Anywhere you stream music and podcasts, type in The George Mossey Show, and you'll find the podcast audio there. Also, this podcast that I do with Shabuti, that one is called 90 Day Fiance Fridays. If you want to listen to the podcast we did last night, that is up live now. Type it in at any music streaming platform, 90 Day Fiance Fridays.
Don't miss Shabuti.
Thank you guys.
It's fun too. It's really funny. You guys will like it.
Yeah, that one's a little more crazy. So if you like the crazier, wilder podcast, listen to us on that. You'll really like it. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for staying up late with us.
Guys.
Talk to you really
soon. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.